How's it going, everybody? My name is Teacher of Math, and I just wanted to record a little video to go over the release notes and a few things that were added to the comprehensive rules document for Lorcana. So if you didn't know, every set for the last 3 sets, as the game gets a little more complicated and the card mechanics get a little more niche, Ravensburger has been releasing release notes for each of the sets, starting with Fabled. So if you go to the website, disneylorcana.com/resources or whatever, you'll find these release notes. So I'm not going over anything that's not in these, but I know some people just prefer video content to be able to consume, listen to, whatever. So if you're one of those people, welcome. A few big changes in Winterspell. The biggest one is that the comprehensive rules document was changed so significantly. They're calling it 2.0. And they're making it, it's just all one color. Usually they can change the colors just to show what's new and what's been altered. But this time there's just so much stuff that they ran out of colored ink or something. And so they're not able to do that for this time. But we're going to go over a few of the really big changes. There are a couple really big gameplay changes. The biggest one, in my opinion, is this one. Drawing from an empty deck won't automatically lose you the game. For those of you who were playing before rotation, you'll remember those magical times when you get a whole new worlded and you draw a card and your opponent makes you draw 7 cards, which you don't have in the deck, and so then you automatically lose. That was a great time to experience. If you didn't experience that, then I recommend playing Infinity until you do, because it really helps you live a little bit. But now, if a player ends their turn with no cards in their deck, they lose the game. So it's no longer about having to draw from an empty deck. It's just if your deck is empty at the end of your turn, your game is over and you've lost. So that's new. There's a lot of other stuff in the comprehensive rules document that we'll kind of look over in just a second, but that's one of the biggest ones. They feel the need to spell out the mechanic underdog in these release notes. I'm not quite sure why. It seems very clear on the card, and then they just kind of say it again in the same words down here, but cool new mechanic. There's a phrase called inking a card now that's actually like solidified in the CRD, the comprehensive rules document. So it doesn't say like sale now reads this turn you may ink an additional card instead of put a card face down into your inkwell. Inking is now a defined mechanic, and that's really important because Moana is a lot more clear now. The one that just came out with Winterspell, because it says you can ink from your discard. There's a bunch of cards here it goes over. I don't really feel like it's necessary to talk about it in this video necessarily, but there are 2 that I want to talk about. The first one is Grandmother Willow. Obviously, contender for the card of the set. Many people will say the card of the set, and it's not close. But there was a little bit of a soft nerf to this card when on the lore cast this week, when Kyle said that this happens for the next character you play only. So if you've been playing on Fight Club, you know that you can just pick this card, use this ability, and then the next character you play after you trigger this ability would be 1 less. It's actually not how it works. You have to. It's only for the next card you play. So if you play this on your turn, the next character will be 1 less. And then if you start your turn with a Grandmother Willow in play, the next character you play must be the one discounted. So again, I think dogs will be fine. Don't worry, but it is a little bit of a soft nerf. Not too bad, but the next one I want to talk about is Lilo Bundled Up. They did make some changes to the definition of taking damage, which also includes moving damage and removing and just dealing damage by challenges or whatever card effects. It's essentially. Lilo is a crazy interaction, and when you start to put cards like Rapunzel in, the one that also has a similar ability, it actually turns out it's not the same ability, and it works a little bit differently too. So it's too much to get into every corner case right now, but if you're going to any sort of pre-release events or anything like that, any big tournaments where Winterspell is going to be legal, highly recommend you read all the conversations around this card and Rapunzel, and you don't want to lose the game because somebody at your tournament doesn't really understand how the cards interact together. So I'd talk to them before the tournament just to make sure that you're all good. Okay, the next document that I'm going to just kind of point out and go over really quickly is a document that was put out by a community member in the Lorcana Rulebook Hub. And so I'm going to link to that Discord channel in the description here. But I just want to give a shout out to Ellie O, because she put together a beautiful document here that has a lot of examples with cards and everything, and we're not going to go through every single one of them, but if you want to look at this, again, I'll have the Lorcana Rules Book Hub linked. It's a Discord channel where they talk about rules all the time, and it's pretty riveting in my opinion. But if it's not your cup of tea, at least you can pop in there every once in a while, ask a rules question, or see if it's already been asked before. Another big change is that for free, when you play a card for free, that's now defined as an alternate cost. And so if you play a card for free, you cannot choose to sing or shift. And so if you're watching this video, you may not be as familiar with why that's important. I want you to imagine this scenario. You have a 1-cost Jasmine on the field, and you have a big shift Jasmine that returns all exerted characters in the discard pile. If you play Circle of Life to get that Jasmine back from your discard pile, you cannot shift it, so you won't be able to activate its ability. You used to be able to shift it on top if you're playing it for free, but now that's defined as a separate alternate cost, and you cannot use 2 alternate costs when you play a card. So you cannot choose to sing or use shift if you're playing a card for free. Taking damage, we already talked about the empty deck thing. Taking damage, whenever damage is dealt to, put on, or moved, it's called taking damage. I don't want anybody to get confused and think that affects how resist interacts with placing damage counters, because it doesn't. It just talks about it just gives a new term that includes all of these other things, which is actually important for Lilo's ability, because Lilo says anytime she would take damage, and now you understand that take is put on or moved, so that would affect having damage put on as well. This is huge for those of you guys pack rush, who are pack rushing for money and stuff. Marketing cards can't be moved from the inkwell to any other zone. So if you're playing limited and you're playing pack rush and you get a Mufasa in your pack, and you try to play Mufasa and then have a marketing card put into your hand, and then you get really confused, okay, that can't happen, guys. Marketing cards can't be chosen for effects. Okay. Those are the really big ones, but like I said, I mean, all of these are changes that you won't see, like probably in 99.99% of your games. But if you are planning on playing at a high level or judging any events, you really need to make yourself familiar with all of these comprehensive rules changes. And this is a really beautiful document that I think really helps kind of go through those. And again, I'm gonna have this linked in the description down below. But I just wanted to again thank Ellie O, and I think that she also worked with John Santos and Judge Phil on this. Obviously, it says down here thanks to John Santos and Judge Phil. Those three seem like a really, really strong team, and I appreciate everything they're doing there for the community. And I want to plug the Discord one more time. If you haven't seen it before, join the Lorcana Rulebook Hub. I'll link it. But it's really cool. I mean, interactions that you would never even imagine are drawn out in this Discord, and it's really kind of fun to see like how well you actually understand the rules. So again, if you're ever wondering where those release notes are, they're on the Lorcana main page and the resources. So I would make sure you try to come here as sets get released, so you can just kind of be up on it. Because really, there's a lot of people who get these card effects wrong and these interactions wrong, and I don't want your tournament to be soured because of it. That's all I got for you. So thank you so much for sticking around. If you have any ruling questions or interactions, you're welcome to comment on this video, or you can go to the Lorcana Rulebook Hub Discord. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you guys around.